The architecture of collective power. This deck asks how collective power can be made both effective and legitimate. The goal is not simply strong government, but power designed around public purpose, restraint, and correction. The Augustine test. Augustine gives us a simple test. Without justice, government can become little more than organized predation. Aquinas adds that legitimate law must serve the common good rather than the private interests of those in power. Across very different political traditions, two responsibilities appear again and again: protecting the community and managing the resources needed to sustain it. These form the basic foundation of collective power. Let's separate 5 ideas that are often treated as the same thing. Power is the ability to act. Authority is the right to decide. Legitimacy explains why that authority should be accepted. Coercion concerns compelled action, and stewardship asks whose benefit the power is serving. The central idea here is that legitimate power needs 4 things: capacity, purpose, restraint, and correction. If any one of these is missing, government either becomes ineffective or becomes dangerous. Collective power should ultimately create the conditions for order, security, justice, and human flourishing. Its purpose is to provide shared goods that individuals cannot reliably secure on their own. Coercion can sometimes create the very disorder it is meant to solve. Poverty, excessive punishment, extraction, or intervention can generate instability, so good governance also has to address the causes of disorder. Governments sometimes use force, taxation, and information gathering to achieve legitimate goals, but because these powers can easily be abused, they need strong limits based on necessity, proportionality, law, and public purpose. Taxation is justified when it supports genuine shared needs, but government cannot simply extract without limit. A healthy system protects the productive base that ultimately supports both public services and security. The information asymmetry. Government needs information in order to function, but information itself is a form of power. When the state can observe citizens without citizens being able to scrutinize the state, strong safeguards and independent oversight become essential. Subsidiarity and scale. The principle here is to keep decisions as local as possible, but move them upward when the problem requires greater scale or coordination. The goal is not maximum centralization or maximum decentralization, but putting authority at the level best able to handle the problem. The institutional design paradox. We want capable and ethical people in positions of authority, but institutions cannot depend on everyone being virtuous. So we should select leaders for character and competence while designing the system to remain safe when individuals fail. The segmented coercion pipeline. When government exercises especially powerful forms of coercion, one institution should not control the entire process. Separating authorization, execution, and review creates an important protection against abuse. Detecting and repairing failure. No political system will avoid mistakes entirely. The important question is whether those mistakes can be detected and corrected before they become permanent or destructive. The ladder of graduated corrigibility. This slide shows that correction should happen in stages, from criticism and internal review to courts, political sanctions, and removal. Resistance belongs only at the extreme end, after ordinary mechanisms of correction have failed. The threshold of legitimacy. Holding an office does not automatically mean a person continues to possess legitimate authority. A ruler can retain the machinery of power while losing the moral claim to obedience. The capacity versus legitimacy matrix. This matrix shows why both capacity and legitimacy matter. Weak but legitimate government cannot protect people, while powerful but unconstrained government becomes authoritarian. The target is capable government that is also bounded and correctable. Navigating institutional trade-offs. Governance constantly involves trade-offs between efficiency and liberty, security and freedom, centralization and local control, or transparency and secrecy. The challenge is not choosing one side permanently, but designing institutions that manage these tensions responsibly. The Core Insights Synthesis Board. This slide brings the traditions together. Each one highlights a different problem: virtue, capacity, restraint, justice, welfare, incentives, or accountability. And the strongest framework combines those insights, rather than relying on only one. The foundational charter of collective power. From that comparison, we can reduce the framework to several principles. Power needs a defined purpose. Public resources must be treated as a stewardship. Authority should remain appropriately limited, and every important power should have a mechanism for oversight and correction. The architecture complete. The main conclusion is that legitimate government is not simply government that successfully exercises power. It is power that remains tied to justice, public purpose, restraint, accountability, and the people it exists to serve.